Hello everyone, and welcome to our very first virtual tea party. I'm so excited to be here today, and I cannot wait to chat with you all, talk about what we're drinking, maybe read a few poems, and just in general come together on this Sunday and enjoy each other's company. So I'll kick it off. You can see there in the banner, welcome, welcome. And I'm asking what you're drinking. And so I am drinking tea from a company recommended to me by Stina from Skeleton Key Books, and that's Dryad tea. And I'm about to add my honey to my tea, and then I'll tell you exactly what kind of tea I am drinking today. So let's stir it up. I can even show it to you if you want me to. So we'll stir that honey in. And take a sip. Very, very good. So I have my little slip here so I won't forget what kind it is. So this is Grim Dark from Dryad Tea. And this is a tea blend for things that go bump in the night. A deep mix of black teas, clove, and roasted mate, maybe. A blend that reminds you to be careful what you wish for. And so it includes these following ingredients: black tea, oolong, cloves, rosebuds, rose petals, and roasted mate. It is very, very good. So I have to say thank you once again to Stina for recommending Dryad tea. So now I'm going to check the comments and see who's here. So let's see. Hello, Kayla. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining. Yes, there's Stina, the lovely Stina from Skeleton Key Books. The Ravens have entered the library, and thank you again for your recommendation for Dryad tea. I also highly, highly recommend their teas too. Hello, Liz. Thank you for being here. Happy Tea Party Day to you too. You know what? Diet Coke is absolutely fine. Tea, coffee, Diet Coke, wine, whatever, water. Everyone is welcome. You don't have to drink your tea. Let's see. Ooh, Earl Grey vanilla tea. That sounds very, very good too. Coffee and water. Yes, I'll be having my coffee between this event and then coming up at 2 my time will be the virtual discussion, the live show for the Literary Love Book Club. So I'm drinking some tea now, and then I'll have coffee later. So it's all good. I'll be hyped up on a Sunday. Oh my gosh, butterscotch cream. Oh my gosh, that sounds so good. Ooh, very nice. Hello, hello, Swank. Happy Cat Lady Day. Oh, that's me. Probably a lot of you here today too. Go Fly Kite Day. Happy Garlic Day. Well, I love garlic. As a matter of fact, I just had a couple of things for lunch that had garlic in them. So it's garlic day almost every day at my house. I do love some garlic. Oh, Dryads, Ravens in the library. That is a kind I haven't tried yet. I'm trying to think of what all kinds I did get. The Grimdark, of course, Strawberry Imp, A through L, Come to the Labyrinth. And I feel like there may be one more I got that I'm forgetting, but I'm definitely going to add the Ravens in the library to my next Dryad tea order. Jasmine green and Earl Grey. Tea sandwiches will be egg salad. Yeah, I was stuffing my face really quick trying to finish before the countdown started, but I had chicken salad with crackers for lunch today, and then I had a cucumber spread on wheat bread also for lunch for my little tea lunch. I started to eat on camera, but then I was like, no, no, because I'll be talking and I don't want you all I don't want to be trying to talk to you all and like stuff in my face and looking all messy and rude on here if I talk with food in my mouth. Shadow cats, both the tea and the person. Love it. So I'm gonna add that too. So ravens in the library and shadow cat. So besides drinking tea or Coke or water or whatever, coffee, whatever you may be drinking, what else are you up to today? So I'm really thankful to have this day to just hang out with everybody and have a little bit of a chill time. I did have a rough week this past week. Rena was home for spring break, and the first few days, as is common, with children who have, significant special needs, being out of that routine really threw her off, not getting up and going to school. So we had a rough beginning to her spring break last week. But by the last couple of days of the week, she was starting to even out and kind of get used to the fact that she was going to be home. And then, of course, she'll turn right around and have to get back into the school routine tomorrow. But I find she does better adjusting, back to, going back to school after being on a break than she does after not being in school and then, having to be on a break at home. So I did not get quite everything I planned to accomplish last week done, but I did put in that stipulation before the week even started that I would do the best I could do with Rena being at home, because of course when she's here, she's my first priority, and any other responsibilities or things I'd like to take care of, they kind of go to the wayside so I can take care of her. So I do feel a little bit unprepared for this virtual tea party. Not that I had to do a lot of preparation, but I feel quite unprepared for the live show book club today to talk about poetry. But I'm still going ahead with it, and we're going to have fun, and I'm not putting any pressure on myself because none of you are putting pressure on me. So I'm not going to put it on myself. Chilling like a villain. Yes, survival mode. I understand that. Sleep, when we don't get the sleep we need, we can't help but kind of move into survival mode. And it's important that we take care of ourselves. Like I just, mentioned, like taking care of Rena, that was a priority, and we don't want to push ourselves. So chilling sounds like a perfect way to spend your Sunday. Thank you. Some days I really don't feel like it, but thank you. And you are a wonderful mom too, Em. I know you probably, like most moms, we have these days where we just don't feel like we're doing a good job, but I think most of us are for sure doing the best we can and doing everything we can for our children out of love, even if we make mistakes sometimes. If we're doing it out of love, I think it's all going to be okay in the end. So yeah, that's what today I've been up to. Liz, you'll appreciate this, and maybe other people here too. I recently finished watching Twin Peaks: The Return for the first time. And so the past couple of days, I've gone all the way back to season one, the initial airing of Twin Peaks, and I've watched, I think, 3 or 4 episodes. And like, I'm not going to say anything in case people haven't watched The Return, or they don't want spoilers, but going back and rewatching it from the beginning after watching The Return, and of course Fire Walk with Me, and I read The Secret History of Twin Peaks and read The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer. So going back to the beginning with all of that knowledge, I'm like, I'll just be sitting there like, oh, like that. And, Tim will look at me and I'll be like, well, see, because he really didn't watch it with me, but he gets entertained by some of the stuff that's happening when he's in there. So I will pause and like explain stuff to him. So yeah, I'm really enjoying the revisit of Twin Peaks for sure. Exactly. We do. We have to take care of ourselves, because if we don't take care of ourselves, it's impossible to take care of other people. And when we neglect our self-care, then the burnout and depression and anxiety just intensifies. So definitely we have to take care of ourselves. Yes, exactly. That's what I was like. I can't believe how much, I can enjoy it even more on this rewatch and kind of like I don't want to talk about Twin Peaks a whole lot because some of you may not watch it, so I don't want to, exclude anybody from the conversation. But I will just say, like going back and watching it this time, it amazes me that Mark Frost and David Lynch had these beginnings in place, like events that happened in the first couple of episodes of Twin Peaks that culminate in the return, which was like 25 years later. Just that level of creativity and that level of knowing where the story is going. It just, people like that have those kind of minds, I just admire that. It just blows me away. So what's everybody else been watching or reading? Let's talk about that. What are you watching? What are you reading? I am currently reading, I didn't bring it in here, but I'm currently reading The Haunted Houses She Calls Her Own by Gwendolyn Keist, who is one of my all-time favorite authors. So I definitely recommend picking up really anything. Her short story collections, her novels, her novellas. I have loved everything that she's written. So that's given me a lot of joy. That's my physical read right now. And audiobook wise, I am listening to Dr. Sleep by Stephen King. I've read The Shining several times and seen The Shining, the movie, several times, and the mini series that's more closely related to the novel. I have seen Dr. Sleep, the Mike Flanagan film adaptation, but this is actually my first time reading Dr. Sleep, and I am really, really enjoying it. Just this gift that Dan has where he works in a hospice and he is discussing, times of being with people when they pass on. Most of you know that my mom is in hospice care right now in end stage Parkinson's. So there are difficult parts about, listening to an audiobook that deals with that kind of thing, but I'm mostly finding a great deal of comfort and healing in the way that, little Danny, who's now an adult, the way that he is able to be there with people when they pass from this life. And just there's a lot of beauty. And Stephen King is a comfort read for me. He has been since I started reading his books at 14. So I'm really having a very moving experience with Dr. Sleep. So the measure for Alex and Kat. Yeah, I've been seeing people talk about that. I have not read that, but I know a lot of people seem to be enjoying it, and then maybe not so much, which is common, because we all have different tastes. But hopefully, no matter if people enjoy it or not, I'm sure that Kat and Alex will still have a really good discussion. They always do. I hope you like it. I don't want to say how I felt about it, but I hope you like it. It's a very polarizing book. I will say that people either seem to really love it or really not love it. But I'm definitely interested in hearing how it works or doesn't work for you, whatever the case may be. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to how you feel about it. He really does. And just, I know some people have that complaint with King that he writes too much and he's too wordy and his descriptions go on too long. But for me, that's one of the endearing things about him is that I really can picture what he's talking about. That I really know these characters, even if they're side characters. And I think, like I was talking about the kind of brain David Lynch has, I think the same, thing of Stephen King, the way that he can not only come up with stories, but just really flesh out characters and situations and towns going way, way back to their histories. And it just baffles me, people whose minds work like that. And I'm also always fascinated by how he describes weather and like winter storms, because a lot of his books, when something, and this is kind of common for like gothic literature and stuff like that, but there'll be some sort of storm or like winter's coming, and that kind of, precedes something horrific, or creepy, something eerie taking place, or it's kind of like the beginnings of that creeping dread. And I just love the way he does that. Okay, Deadlock detective shows. That sounds like a fun watch. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Jennifer Saunders Bonkers. Liz was talking about that yesterday, that she really, really enjoyed that book. So y'all write down these recommendations that we're getting. Yeah, like I said, you might love it. It's one of those books that people, really did enjoy, and some people, I don't think it's a secret. I did not, but I do enjoy a lot of Paul Tremblay's work. I didn't care for horror movie, and I didn't care for the Pallbearers Club, but I really like his older work. The Cabin at the End of the World, A Head Full of Ghosts, Disappearance at Devil's Rock, I think is what it's called. And see, a lot of people did not like Disappearance at Devil's Rock, by him, but I really did. Oh yeah, my local boy, Michael McDowell. Yes. I have not read Cold Moon Over Babylon, but I have had a lot of people tell me I should read that one. I also haven't read Blackwater. I haven't read Gilded Needles, but I'm pretty sure that my son is going to be giving me Gilded Needles for my belated birthday present. But I do have the Elementals, and I love the Elementals. Yeah, because I am from near, the Mobile area and the Gulf Shores area where he is writing about in the elementals, and the idea of sand being creepy, and the way that he describes the oppressive heat and humidity that we experience here during the summer. I was like, yeah, spot on. I know exactly what he's talking about. So I really do want to pick up more of his books. So thank you for that reminder. Like I said, I think I'm going to be getting Gilded Needles. I'm pretty sure. But after that, I do plan to get to Cold Moon Over Babylon. And is it Blackwater? That's like it's like a thick book, or I think it can also come in like separate stories or something. So definitely, I am interested in diving into more of his stuff, especially because he was a local person to my area. So we can keep chatting about whatever you all want to chat about. But I thought it would be fun too if I just read a few poems. We're not going to like really discuss or analyze them. That's in the next, next live show coming up later. But I just think tea and poetry, or coffee and poetry, go really well together. So I thought I would talk about, or just read poems that come from a wide variety of sources and poets. And also, if you hear Rena making noise, she is right in the kitchen with my husband right now. So you may hear her making some noise. Yeah, I know a lot of people, have loved Blackwater for sure. So the first poem I want to read is a poem by Maya Angelou, who is one of my favorite writers and poets. And this poem is titled Morning Grace. And it's mourning, like being in mourning for someone or something. If today I follow death, go down its trackless wastes, salt my tongue on hardened tears for my precious dear time's waste, race along that promised cave in a headlong, deadlong haste, will you have the grace to mourn for me? I just love her poetry. It's even better if you can listen to her read her poetry. Of course, she has not been with us in many, many years, but you can find some wonderful recordings and videos of her reading her poetry, and it gives me chills every time I listen to her read her work. Honestly, probably every time I ever hear Maya Angelou speak, it just, she has the poem too, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And then she has her novel, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, which is a beautiful novel, but it is heavy, um, based on experiences in her own life. But it is one of the books that helped really shape who I am and gave me a profound respect, love, and admiration for Maya Angelou. Yeah, like I said, I would really have I would really have the goosebumps if I could, you know, hear her do it. So I definitely recommend just looking her work up. And April is National Poetry Month, so it's a great time to talk about poetry. Oh, how wonderful. I would have loved to have met her or to even be in the same room with her. She was truly, in her own words, and very much earned, a phenomenal woman. So most people do know A Phenomenal Woman and Still I Rise, which are both obviously wonderful poems. But I wanted to read another one that you may not be as familiar with. And I guess I could talk about this. So this is a collection of a lot of her poetry. Just give me a cool drink of water before I die. Oh, pray my wings are going to fit me well. And still I rise. And shaker, why don't you sing? So it's coming from several of her different collections. But I really recommend anything by Maya Angelou. Oh, yes, it really, really is such a gift, and such a legacy that she left. And to hear her too just talk about her own life or about life in general and the world. She's just one of those iconic women that I just adore. Yes. Another book that I've been reading lately, and another poet I recommend, especially for nature poetry, is Mary Oliver, and this is Devotions. Now, she also has a poetry handbook if you're wanting to dig in a little more to understand poetry. I really like that book. She has a very, you know, simple way of explaining deep things that make it easy to understand. So the poem I'm going to read from her is An Old Story. Sleep comes its little while. Then I wake in the valley of midnight or 3 a.m. to the first fragrances of spring, which is coming all by itself, no matter what. My heart says what you thought you have, you do not have. My body says, will this pounding ever stop? My heart says, there, be a good student. My body says, let me up and out. I want to fondle these soft white flowers open in the night. This book is also very helpful to me right now in the season of grief that I'm in. So if you're experiencing grief, would definitely recommend Mary Oliver's poetry. So I'm going to finish. I think that's about to be all of my tea. And it was very good. And excuse me, a little tea leaf got on my tongue. So I did not I did not want to have to swallow that. Oh yeah, she is wonderful. Definitely, I recommend everything she's ever written too. Oh, nice. The end of the world as we know it. Yeah, I have not gotten to that. I feel like I need to reread The Stand before I get into that collection because it's been a long time. But as most of you probably know, reading The Stand is quite an endeavor. And if I did reread it, I would go audiobook with it because I have so many, physical books I'm trying to read right now. But I would like to read The End of the World as We Know It, which, if you don't know, that is the short story collection that takes the inspiration from Stephen King's The Stand. And I've heard great things about it. Pride and Prejudice, uh, Ark, Herbs, Magic, and Murder. Oh, that sounds like a fun book. Yeah, I like that stuff. Herbs, Magic, and Murder. I love that. So let's see. Then I have this poetry book. I want the one that's for nighttime too, but I don't have it yet. But this is a nature poem for every day of the year. So you'll have quite a huge, array of different poets in this collection. But I thought since today, it is April 19th, I thought I would read the poem for April 19th. And this poem happens to be from a translation. It is originally written by Vincent Bourne and is translated by William Cowper. And it is called The Silkworm. The beams of April, ere it goes, a worm scarce visible disclose. All winter long content to dwell the tenant of his native shell. The same prolific season gives the sustenance by which he lives. The mulberry leaf, a simple store that serves him till he needs no more. For his dimensions once complete, thenceforth none ever sees him eat. Though till his growing time be past, scarce ever is he seen to fast. That hour arrived, his work begins. He spins and weaves and spins, till circle upon circle wound careless around him and around, conceals him with a veil, though slight, impervious to the keenest sight. Thus self-enclosed as in a cask, at length he finishes his task. And though a worm when he was lost, or caterpillar at the most, when next we see him, wings he wears, and in papilio pomp appears, becomes oviparous, supplies with future worms and future flies, the next ensuing year, and dies. Well were it for the world if all who creep about this earthly ball, though shorter lived than most he be, were useful in their kind as he. So yes, a little nature poem about the silkworm. And then tomorrow's poem is April Rise by Lori Lee. So I'll read that one too. If I ever saw blessing in the air, I see it now in this still early day, where lemon green the vaporous morning drips wet sunlight on the powder of my eye. Blown bubble film of blue, the sky wraps round weeds of warm light, whose every root and rod splutters with soapy green, and all the world sweats with the beat of summer in its bud. If ever I heard blessing, it is there, where birds and trees that shoals and shadows are splashed with their hidden wings, and drops of sound break on my ears their crests of throbbing air. Pure in the haze the emerald sun dilates, the lips of sparrows milk the mossy stones, while white as water by the lake a girl swims her green hand among the gathered swans. Now as the almond burns its smoking wick, dropping small flames to light the candle grass, Now as my low blood scales its second chance, if ever world were blessed, now it is. So this is, a nice book to have. If you don't know what poem you want to read, it's right there, going by the day, going by the season. So I really do like this one. And this is edited by Jane McMorland Hunter. And I mentioned that I really want the one that's also a nature poem for every night of the year, because I feel like that would be a lovely way to start the day, to read the day poem when you first wake up in the morning, and then to read the night poem before you go to bed at night. I think that would be a nice way to close out the day, to come back around, circular, kind of way to spend your day and your evening. Yes, I really have loved every poem in that book. Yet I love it. Oscar Wilde. Yes. Speaking of Oscar Wilde, a little plug, the November Literary Love Book Club selection is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Thank you. Yes, it would be good too for a poetry tea time. If we're having poetry tea time now, but be sure to look at M's channel, because she shares her poetry tea time that she does with her children, which is near and dear to my heart, because when I was homeschooling my children, who are now, one is 25 and the other one is almost 23, we did poetry tea time, and it brings back such lovely memories. And my kids still enjoy, having a little poetry tea time sometimes. So it's a nice habit to start, with ourselves and with others too. So now I have a little switch. This goes better with the tea I was drinking, the Grim Dark, for things that go bump in the night. Now, I definitely recommend this book, The Midnight Treasury of Macabre and Weird Poems. It is edited by Anna Sampson, and I just want to show you too, like, how pretty it is. I just love the black and then the red. And it has three sections. The first section is Monsters Abroad and Within. The second chapter is Hauntings. And then the third chapter is Dark Landscapes. And I'll read a few from that. Oh, yay. Yeah, it's been quite a few years since I read The Picture of Dorian Gray. I've read it a few times because it is one of my favorites, but I am so excited to talk about it with all of you. I don't know, some of you may have watched Penny Dreadful. I watched it for the first time a few years ago, and I have to admit, I love seasons 1 and 2, and I flew through them pretty quickly. I kind of got a little bogged down in season 3, and I haven't gone back to finish it yet. But they do have a character. They have Dorian Gray in the Penny Dreadful series, and I really loved their interpretation and depiction of him. Yeah, the first 2 seasons I was fascinated by. It has all the good gothic stuff for all of you who are those gothic girlies like I am. It was so good. So if you've watched it and you finished it all the way through season 3, let me know if I should get back into it and finish season 3. Let me know what you think, because for some reason I just kind of started getting a little bogged down in that season. Yay! I'm excited for it too. I'm really looking forward to talking about it with everybody. So very, very excited. So I have one poem marked, but we can certainly read some more from it. So I just felt like this one was very appropriate right now. And it is The Furies by Lavinia Singer. Beneath the earth they wait, hissing, deep in graves of dirt, listening, blood red eyes of hate, dripping, Each faithless man they take in turn, the violent husbands, liars, thieves, ruled by lust, desire, or greed, are captured, never to return. With wings of bats unrolled, beating, their skin is black as coal, glistening, skulls with serpents coiled, shrieking. Torches, daggers, whips, and knives, teeming cups of poisoned drink. Nightmares issue from each wink. Justice is repaid with life. The vengeful sisters wait, unceasing, administering their rage. Believe it. So think before you play or trick me. I just like that. Yay, I think it will be too. There's so much to talk about for the time it was written and then for our current times, just looking at the character of Dorian Gray and what the picture represents, what the man is. I'm really, really excited. Yeah, I think it's nice too. Definitely. And then we have another poem called The Witch. I have walked a great while over the snow, and I am not tall nor strong. My clothes are wet, and my teeth are set, and the way was hard and long. I have wandered over the fruitful earth, but I never came here before. Oh, lift me over the threshold and let me in at the door. The cutting wind is a cruel foe. I dare not stand in the blast. My hands are stone and my voice a groan, and the worst of death is past. I am but a little maiden still. My little white feet are sore. Oh, lift me over the threshold and let me in at the door. Her voice was the voice that women have, who plead for their heart's desire. She came, and the quivering flame sunk and died in the fire. It never was lit again on my hearth since I hurried across the floor to lift her over the threshold and let her in at the door. And that's by Mary Coleridge. And then we have The Witch Bride, which I want to read, but I also want to show you this illustration. So this is The Witch Bride by William Allingham. A fair witch crept to a young man's side, and he kissed her and took her for his bride. But a shape came in at the dead of night and filled the room with snowy light. And he saw how in his arms there lay a thing more frightful than mouth may say. And he rose in haste and followed the shape till morning crowned an eastern cape. And he guarded himself and followed still when sunset sainted the western hill. But mocking and thwarting clung to his side, weary day, the foul witch bride. I think it is. Yes, yes. It does. It does make me think of the movie Mama also. So some of you have probably seen Mama. I watched it a pretty long time ago, probably not too long after it came out. And I enjoyed it. I know some people were not, as impressed by it, but I really liked it. I liked the story, and Jessica Chastain is in it, so I can't really ever find too much fault with a movie with Jessica Chastain in it, except for It Chapter 2. I can find fault with that, even with Jessica Chastain in it. But it does also, it makes me think of Mama, that creepy, sort of like woman, definitely. Okay, see, I have not seen the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but I would, be interested in their depiction of Dorian Gray. Yes, very. This is a very gothic book. I do love it quite a bit. It's great, of course, for spooky season, but if you're like me, and I feel like a lot of you are, Spooky season can be all year long. So another one that I do want to read is by one of my favorite poets, John Keats, who we will be talking about in the live show later today in his poem Ode to a Nightingale. But now I want to read his poem La Belle Dame Sans Merci, which I always read, and I'm not like the only person. Obviously, I didn't come up with this, but through a vampire symbolism, like this woman without mercy, La Belle Dame Sans Merci, is a vampire. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, alone and palely loitering? The sedge has withered from the lake, and no birds sing. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, so haggard and so woebegone? The squirrel's granary is full, and the harvest done. I see a lily on thy brow, with anguish moist and fever dew, and on thy cheeks a fading rose fast withereth too. I met a lady in the meads, full beautiful, a fairy's child. Her hair was long, her foot was light, and her eyes were wild. I made a garland for her head, and bracelets too, and fragrant zone. She looked at me as she did love, and made sweet moan. I set her on my pacing steed, and nothing else saw all day long. For sidelong would she bend and sing a fairy's song. She found me roots of relish sweet, and honey wild, and manna dew. And sure in language strange she said, I love thee true. She took me to her elfin grot, and there she wept and sighed full sore. And there I shut her wild, wild eyes with kisses four. And there she lulled me asleep, and there I dreamed, ah, woe betide, the latest dream I ever dreamt on the cold hillside. I saw pale kings and princes too, pale warriors, death pale were they all. They cried, La Belle Dame Sans Merci hath thee in thrall. I saw their starved lips in the gloam with horrid warning gaped wide. And I awoke and found me here on the cold hillside. And this is why I sojourn here, alone and palely loitering, though the sedges withered from the lake and no birds sing. I love that because he thought he was going to put her on the, white steed and rescue this woman and give her these kisses that she didn't ask for. And she showed him, didn't she? I love that poem so, so much. So let's see. The Romantics, excuse me, have quite a few poems that have vampire symbolism in them. So besides that one from John Keats, he also has Lamia or Lamia. And then there's Christabel by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. And also, to me, the Rime of the Ancient Mariner has some vampire symbolism in it. I did write a paper in, excuse me, when I was in grad school about vampire symbolism in Christabel and the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. And so I'd be happy to talk about that with you at any time if anybody's interested. I've been thinking about some video essays. So I'd be happy to do a video essay about Christabel and the Rime of the Ancient Mariner, because that was one of my favorite papers and one of my favorite classes. It was a study, excuse me, my goodness, of British Romanticism. And I had a lot of fun with that. And in our live book club show later today, we will be looking at two of the second generation Romantic poets, Keats and Percy Bysshe Shelley, who I always refer to as the husband of Mary Shelley. Percy had some things going on, but I do love his poetry. I will do it. It may take a little time because I want to make sure I do, like an adequate discussion of it. So I probably maybe a month or so, but I would really like, golly, excuse me, to get it out there and talk about it. Because full disclosure here, it can be very frustrating to try to have your work published in certain academic journals. I've tried to have my essay on Christabel and the Rime of the Ancient Mariner published in an academic journal. And, I got kind of the response that I've gotten a couple of times. Oh, well, thank you for submitting, but this has been already discussed, blah, blah, blah. And it's very annoying because, yeah, sure, other people have seen the vampire symbolism, but maybe I had something different to say about it. I don't know. I digress. That's a complaint that's it's not for a fun tea party time. Thank you. I will work on it and get it out there because I'm always excited to talk about the romantics and to talk about vampires anytime. Anytime. So now my tea is gone, but I do have some sparkling ice because now my mouth is a little dry. So I wanted to bring some sparkling ice in here. So you don't have to just drink tea. You can drink anything. So now too, I want to talk about some very modern poetry. This is one of my favorite collections of poetry, and this is I Am Not Your Final Girl by Claire C. Holland. So in this collection, she takes final girls from our favorite horror movies or girls or women that we wish had been able to reach that status of final girl, but for whatever reason didn't quite do it. And she writes poems based on these women. So one of my very favorites in the collection is Carrie, based, of course, on Stephen King's Carrie, and as portrayed by Sissy Spacek in the film from Brian De Palma. I love, love, love this poem so much. Carrie. In a world where fathers reign like dark clouds casting shadows from the skyline, are all of us daughters doomed to become our mothers, to string ourselves up, martyrs on the doorframe, pricked with knives and other utensils used yesterday for making dinner? Or maybe that's how we kill it, the impulse to serve and say sorry all the time. It's exhausting, all this Mary and stuff, all this blood and sin piled on us without our permission. Intuition is treated like a curse because it's not dense and sturdy as a man's thick fist. They don't like something that slips through fingers like water. But what good are we cast in white? I'd rather arm myself in blood than be a pretty statue to stare at. That one, whew, it gets me every time. I love it so much. Yes, Queen Carrie. Yes, Carrie White, who did nothing wrong. I actually have a bumper sticker on my car that says, "Honk if you think Carrie White did nothing wrong." Okay. So is this like that The Extraordinary Gentleman? That does sound very familiar to me. Is it a book? Is it a series? Is it a comic book? Let me know because I know it's familiar to me. Let me know, Swain. Yeah, no matter how many times I read that poem, I always feel that way too, like just the teary-eyed, chill bumps. And that's just part of the beauty of poetry. Some people, I feel like a lot of people get intimidated by poetry, and I blame a lot of that on the way that we're taught. And it is important, to look at poetic devices or rhyme and form and meter. Yes, but even when I'm teaching poetry to middle and high school students, I don't lead with all of that. I lead with how the poem makes us feel and the background and the symbolism. Yes, but to me, if you lead with the form and meter and all of that stuff, then they're just going to tune out, not just kids but adults too. So the reason we would look at poetic devices or structure is just to enhance, our appreciation of the poem. But I just feel like we should come out the gate by just digging into the meaning of it. Okay, a graphic novel. Yeah, I was thinking in my head, was it, a comic or a book or something? Because I do know, like, it's very familiar to me. So I may have to look into that. Yep. So if any of you too have favorite poets or poetry collections that you want to recommend, you can also put those in the chat too. Definitely. While you're doing that, I have another one of these that I really like. Well, I really like all of them, but so you have your favorites. So this one is very short, and this one is from or based on Sally from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Her face bathed in blood, her smile crazed, the sounds she makes as she escapes. There is nothing else in this world like realizing you're going to live and not being sure you can. That one is short, but it gives me chill bumps too, because just that image of Sally at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where yeah, she has physically escaped, but she's screaming and laughing in that very deranged sort of way, as I think most of us would be after having that experience. And just that last line, realizing you're going to live and not being sure you can, because mentally, how do you go on after experiencing what Sally did? And digging deeper into it, most of us have probably not faced a chainsaw wielding maniac, but we have faced some very frightening or painful or traumatic experiences that, yes, we physically survived, but it's taken its toll on our mental, state. So to me, these poems have such deeper layers. And that's one of the things that I appreciate about poetry is how it can mean so many things. And so also I wanted to share this because certain academic circles may probably turn their nose up at something like "I am not your final girl." And I just want to throw it in the face of any academics, the stuffed shirts who think everything has to be from old white men, and be like, no, you see, this is poetry too, and it is just as powerful. I was very fortunate to have an advisor who supported my work in the horror genre for my thesis, but I know some people, maybe a lot of people didn't have that experience. So your poetry, don't let anybody shame you if you're not reading the quote unquote classic poets. If you find poetry you enjoy, you read it and you embrace it, and you don't worry about what anybody else thinks. Okay. I thought it might be a movie too. Yeah, like I said, I wanted to showcase so many different kinds of poets too. Langston Hughes is another one of my favorites. And I hope I can remember it exactly. I think my phone is around here if I don't. But his poem Dreams, let's just say that on a certain date in November of 2024, I printed this poem out and I have kept it in my dining room pinned up so I can see it every day. I do have it on my phone in case I mess up. Dreams by Langston Hughes. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. And that just gives me so much comfort to hold on to dreams, to not let them die, because we can still rise above it, and don't let them go Don't let them die in the cold, cold snow. Langston Hughes, definitely recommend him. Well, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that it could be custom made for you. Oh, seriously, or for fun? I'm thinking for fun, Stina, but let us know if it was if it was a real deal. Oh, yes, yes, Seamus Haney. Thank you. I do like his poetry too. So y'all be sure to write that down. Oh, that's funny. His chainsaw stalled. There's a joke in there for sure. There's a joke, but we won't go there. I would love to read some if you ever feel comfortable sharing it. I would love that. Love it, love it. And I feel like there was something that slipped my mind. I was going to say something. No surprise there. Robert Frost is another one of my favorite poets. Nothing gold can stay, can still move me to tears. I should be able to remember that one off the top of my head. I used to recite it like all the time and seeing nothing gold can stay, kind of like my memory now that I'm 51. It didn't stay too well. I'm gonna have to look it up just to make sure I don't mess up. I was first actually introduced to Nothing Gold Can Stay from The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, the book and the movie. That's where the quote, "Stay gold, pony boy," originates. So Nothing Gold Can Stay by Robert Frost. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold, her early leaves a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day. Nothing gold can stay. Woo! Gets me every time. Yay! I do love his poetry. I feel like a lot of people do know Robert Frost. I was stopping by woods on a snowy evening, right? The road not taken. Two roads diverged in a wood. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, memory. Congratulations, Swank. That is wonderful. I love that so much. I'd love to read it. Thank you, Liz. Thank you for being here. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy your time with your friend. I feel like we will probably go ahead and wrap up so I can make coffee and get a little bit of a chill out time before I'm back on in an hour to talk about To a Skylark by Percy Bysshe Shelley and Ode to a Nightingale by John Keats. So I'll check a few more comments and then we will go. Oh, T.S. Eliot. Yes. Thank you for another recommendation. Thank you. Thank you all. I would like to make this a regular event. Not once a month, maybe once every quarter. So maybe this is like spring and we could do a summer, and we could do an autumn, and we could do a winter. And if you all would like, I can read just random poetry. I can also read seasonally appropriate poetry. That was hard to say. So give me your thoughts and ideas. Let me know. I really appreciate everybody taking your time out on this Sunday to spend time with me. Yes, cats. Yes. Thank you. We will make it a seasonal celebration then. Thank you all so very much for watching. I really do appreciate you, and I want you all to know that. It means a lot to me to have you spend time and just chatting and reading poetry. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. If you can make it to the live discussion, that's great. If you haven't read the poems, you have time. It won't take long. And I look forward to seeing you all again very soon, hopefully. Bye. Thank you all. Bye bye.